Hey, so I'm back. So we're going to make a hummingbird cake today. So still got lots of those bananas I'm working on. This is super easy. It's traditionally it has pecans in it, but I'm trying to use what I have in the house, and I had walnuts. So instead we're going to use walnuts instead of pecans, which are still good. So anyway, the first thing that we need to do is preheat the oven to 350, which I already did because actually I have 2 cakes in there right now. And we need to lightly toast our nuts. So what we're gonna do is line a baking sheet with some parchment paper and put our nuts on there. And we're just gonna put them in the oven at 350 for 10 minutes. That's plenty enough time to get them nicely toasted. You want to be sure that you don't overdo it because you can burn them very easily and then they'll just be gross and you'll have to redo it. So with the magic of cinema, no, just kidding. I already did some because like I said, I have 2 in the oven already. So these ones are already ready to go. I already toasted them. So we'll use those in a bit after we're done making the cake batter. So what we need for this is 3 cups of flour. And I already measured out everything because I'm pretty sure you guys can handle measuring things out. So we have 3 cups of flour. So we're gonna stick this in the mixer. And as you can see, I actually decided to use the stand mixer today. It'll just be easier and it's a little different. And then this way, hopefully you guys can kind of see a little bit more of what I'm actually doing. So we'll get our 3 cups of flour in there. Okay. Get it all in. And then with the flour, we're going to, oops, hold on, we didn't get all of that. Let's just whoop that in there. Okay, we're gonna also put in our sugar. So we need 2 cups of sugar. So regular sugar, so I'm gonna dump that in. And then we need a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I already measured those out, so we're gonna dump those in. And then we are just going to turn the mixer on and let it stir those together. So let it do its thing. So then once that gets all nice and combined, which you can kind of tell once the cinnamon's got more dispersed and you'll get these big chunks of cinnamon showing up in here. So, okay, so we're gonna do that. So next we're gonna add in our wet ingredients. So, actually the only thing I didn't preview here is, it was our eggs needed to be lightly beaten. So I'm gonna do that here real quick while we're on this. So 3 eggs, lightly beaten, and I got some shell in there, darn it. So, you know, it's always a bummer when you get shell in there, you know, and then you try to sit there and chase it. The easiest way for you to get that shell back out is to use the shell. It kind of attracts itself to each other. So that way you're not trying to get it with your fingers. So we got that. Let me just grab our fork real quick and wash off my fingers. Okay, so we're gonna lightly beat that just so they're kind of mixed up. All right, so we're gonna dump in our egg. Dump that in there. And then we needed 1 3/4 cups of mashed ripe banana, which is about 4 large bananas. So I already did that. So we have that here. So I'm gonna scoop those in there. Okay. And then we also needed an 8-ounce can of crushed pineapple with the juice. If you don't have an 8-ounce can, specifically, if you have a larger can, you can just measure out 8 ounces, which is a cup of crushed pineapple. Just make sure you get some of the juice mixed in there with it. So we're gonna throw that in there. And then the last thing that we needed was, last 2 things we need we needed 3/4 cup of canola oil and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So we have our vanilla extract, we're gonna dump that in there. And then our oil, all nice and in there. And then we are going to turn this on. I'm gonna just do the mix speed, the stir speed for a moment just to kind of get it in there so it doesn't come whipping out. And then now I'll stir it up a little bit faster. So we're gonna let that go just so it's combined. So I can see that it gets the flour off the bottom. So it doesn't have to be in there for very long. Okay, so then we're gonna take that down. We're gonna take off our beater there. Clean that off because we don't need all of that. We don't need the beater anymore, actually. Okay. Like that. So now I'm just gonna give it a really good, just hand stir real quick, just to make sure that it gets, I got all the flour off the bottom, because sometimes the mixing paddle doesn't quite get the stuff off the bottom. So, and which it didn't, there's some flour in the bottom here I can see as I'm stirring it. So I just wanna make sure it all gets mixed up so we don't have any chunks of flour. Okay, so we have that all done. So next what we wanna do is we wanna prepare our bundt pan. So this recipe is specifically for a bundt cake. So we're going to use your bundt pan. They come in all different kinds of shapes and, you know, patterns, whatever. So we do that. So you can either grease it with a little bit of oil and then dust it with some flour if you want. I actually, unless I'm doing gluten-free, I really like the Pam baking spray. It has flour in it, so I'll just spray it in there, and I've never had an issue. Everything comes out great after I'm done with it. So I'm just gonna lightly just spray around the edges, get that, and then in the middle, and make sure you get your middle part, since it's a bundt pan, because that would just be the day. It comes out everywhere except for in the middle, right? Okay, so then the next thing we wanna do is it calls for us to sprinkle in half of our nuts in the bottom of the thing. So we're gonna sprinkle those in the bottom of our prepared pan. So they're in there on the bottom. And then now we're just gonna pour our batter in over the top of it. So we're just gonna slowly go around. We're gonna pour that in. Get that all nice and in there and even. Sprinkle. Get it all out. So now I'm just gonna kind of make sure it's even around the outside edges. So we got that all done. So it's in our bundt pan. So that's gonna go in the oven at 350 degrees for an hour, to an hour and 10 minutes per the recipe. So at an hour, you'll just really gently pull it out of the oven and just stick a toothpick or a wooden skewer, or if you have a metal little cake tester, whatever you, stick that in there to just check it. If it comes out clean, then your cake's done. You can take it out, put it on a rack, let it cool. But you want to make sure that it cools for at least 15 minutes before you take it out of the pan itself. And then before you frost it, you want to make sure that it's cooled completely. Now, this cake, traditionally they do cream cheese frosting on the top of it, which is fine if you want to do that. If you happen to not have any cream cheese frosting at home, you could make a powdered sugar glaze to just drizzle over it. You could even skip frosting altogether and just dust it with powdered sugar. The other thing you can do, and there is no shame in this whatsoever, is using a store-bought can of icing, if that's what you have in your pantry. A good trick with that is if you open it up and take the metal lid off of it, then you can throw it in the microwave for like 10 seconds at a time until it kind of gets a little bit liquidy, not too liquidy, but just a little bit, so it's got a pouring consistency. And especially with the bundt pan or a bundt cake, you can drizzle it over the top and kind of get that cool nothing but look. And then sprinkle the rest of your toasted nuts on top, and voila, you got yourself a nice cake to serve for dessert or snack or lunch, whatever, breakfast, each their own. Anyway, but seriously, no shame in store-bought frosting, because I'll tell you right now, most people can't even tell the difference. So you can argue with me all you want on that, but a lot of people can't tell the difference. And if you make it look nice, who's gonna question you? So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and gives you another option to make with all of your ripe bananas you got going on. And you know, hey, I'm making 3, so we'll probably take a couple out and give them to neighbors or whoever, and enjoy the time. And then next video I'll pop on and show you guys. We'll do some banana bread and some banana scones down the road. So for now, this is it for the video. I'm gonna wait till the ones that are in the oven are done and take them out and then pop this one in, and then I will post a photo of the done cakes with frosting so you guys can see them. And yeah, so enjoy the rest of your day, and chat with y'all later. Bye.